The short version of where OpenUnison came from was I had spent myself and my business partner had spent now over a decade building and deploying identity management. Every vendor you can think of, CA, Oracle, Microsoft, ForgeRock, you name it, we had deployed it. Multiple industries, commercial, federal government, and they all kind of had a lot of the same problems. And the biggest thing that we found was that these systems were more systems focused rather than applications focused. And ultimately, what we found was that none of these identity systems really provided value without applications. And so we wanted to take that application focus to building an identity solution. The other thing that we found is that a lot of identity solutions try to be very prescriptive in how you do things. They try to both model everything that your business does and also provide you every single feature and piece of functionality that you might require. And so what you end up doing is spending more of your time working around the shortcomings of the system than building the code that will actually provide value to what you do. So we said, okay, well, let's take all the different functions that applications need. Applications need to know who you are, what you can do, and because we're talking about enterprises for the most part, the auditors need to be able to see why you have that access. And so we wanted to build that into a simple, easy to deploy solution. We provide a SSO solution, so we have a reverse proxy with a dozen or so authentication mechanisms: username, password, certificate, multi-factor over SMS, TOTP, Google Authenticator, a few others. We also added the different way to do the application integration. Since we're a reverse proxy, a lot of other solutions will do things like headers or have agents. And agents have just been a constant headache in every deployment we've been a part of. And so we went with what we call last mile, where we take for every request a little bit of JSON that has what you've been authorized for, who you are, whatever attributes are cared about, nonce and timestamp, and we encrypt the whole thing and send it down to the downstream application. Our component then decrypts it, validates it, and lets you through. The nice thing about this is that we don't actually have to call home to the agent, so there's no round tripping back to a policy server. So it makes the implementation very, very fast and lets us encrypt everything. So that's on the SSO side. Then on the provisioning side, and this is all in the same appliance or virtual appliance, we integrate a workflow-based solution. We purposely did not go with a standard approach like BPM or BIPL, basically because we found that most identity management workflows don't need the level of power and flexibility that those systems have. And those systems almost require that you're using an IDE. We want something that can be very easily edited by hand. So we created our own very simple XML-based workflow dialect that can be very easily edited in any text editor. And then finally, we wanted to make it a vergence between the two in a just-in-time provisioning solution. So what we actually preach from kind of an overall model is, instead of the typical identity management solution where you go in, you request access, and then there's a workflow that provisions you to a downstream application, we actually go ahead and say provision into a central location, and then just as the user logs in, let our SSO solution synchronize the identity in real time. So that way you've got your central location being your authoritative source for authorization information, but still getting into the downstream application as the user needs it. So it provides a lot of flexibility.